Erddig is full of the latest technology of its time, from farming implements to bicycles to the latest in domestic technology. And our musical instrument collection, which is wide and varied, is just the same. One of our most special pieces is the Harp-Lute. What makes it extra special here at Erddig is that we have the original case for it, as well as the books of music that the York family of Erddig will have used. So when people see the Harp-Lute instrument, they often wonder, well, what does it sound like? They've never seen anything like that before.
What we have is a Harp-Lute sold by Erddig. It was designed to incorporate the two most popular instruments of the period of early 19th century, the guitar and the harp. It's called a lute, Harp-Lute, because of the staves, which, as a lute is made from these staves. So it's nothing to do with a lute at all, so it's more to do with a harp and a guitar.
Edward Light, who was an inventor at the beginning of the 19th century, he invented a whole bunch of different pluck string instruments, or hybrids of existing instruments, but really ingenious. Things like the Apollo lyre and the Harp-Lute guitar. But the Harp-Lute was probably his most successful instrument. And this one, we think he invented it between around 1810 and 1813, and he patented it in 1817.
Made of sycamore, painted, gilded. All musical instruments are numbered. All makers tend to number their instruments. And this is number 469. Around the number 500 at mark is about 1815, which was the peak of his manufacture. The gilding has a layer of bowl underneath. The bowl is a clay, and the clay colour tends to also help a gilder know when the period of the instrument is.
Edward Light was so successful. The instruments were very popular for 30-40 years at the beginning of the 19th century. And he was very fashionable. He became one of the music teachers to Princess Charlotte of Wales.
If they put the Prince of Wales further, of course it was very trendy. You know, so it's the same as we put Dolce & Gabbana on nowadays. You try and sell it. So basically it's purely to sell the instrument, which makes sense really, because he was the playboy of the world of the 19th century middle class.
Light provided a full service. He could teach you how to play the Harp-Lute, he could sell you a Harp-Lute, and he also published books about how to play the Harp-Lute and how to tune it, and all the repertory for the Harp-Lute, all published in these series of books that you could buy so that you had repertoire for the instrument. And they're wonderful because they include lots and lots of famous pieces that people would have known, including famous symphonies and tunes from operas and all kinds of large-scale music, all reduced down to memorable, easy tunes that you can play on your fancy new instrument.
So this is the first time I'm holding a Harp-Lute, and you've told me I have to hold it quite upright, yes. More like a harp, and not think of it so much as a guitar down here, but as a harp up here, right? Yes. Does that look right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And so I strum with my right hand. Do I use the thumb? Do I use different fingers?
Yes, normally you use thumb for the basic and melody with fingers.
So if I were to play a tune, do I use the top 4 strings to play the tune?
If you have some experience on guitars, maybe it's easy to. But if you are keyboard or harp player, it's easy to find a note here.
I've managed to tune at the bottom.
Yes, yes.
I guess it becomes a lot more complicated when I actually start to use the left hand. So I hold it up here and then I can use the frets.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So if I wanted to play my Twinkle Twinkle that I managed to play here, up an octave, then I would have to start using my fingers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And if here. Well done.
We think that the Erddig Harp-Lute came to the house through Victoria Cust, who married Simon York of Erddig in 1846. She was from a family with royal connections. Her mother was a lady-in-waiting to the Queen, and she, Victoria, was Princess Victoria's godchild. So it might have been through these royal connections that they knew about Edward Light. They might have even known him personally. Victoria was too young to have been playing the Harp-Lute when it was first built, so it might have belonged to an older person in her family. But she certainly brought it to the house. And she also signed her name in some of the books by Edward Light that are still here at Erddig also. And these are annotated with fingerings and other writing that shows that somebody here used the books when they were playing the Harp-Lute. We also know that Victoria was really proud of this instrument. She loaned it to a local museum, and there are some letters in the archives that make it clear that she showed the instrument to musical notables when they came to the house. It was a real curiosity by the end of the century.
So it's strung in gut, which is cow gut. Well, but I've got a few strings of sheep gut. So we use as much sheep as we possibly can, because sheep is so much sexier. And since we can't get it anymore, we might as well put it on here, can't we?
They're beautiful
Yes.
aesthetically as an art object, but they are also very mechanical, aren't they?
Yes,
They look
yes.
like pieces of engineering in some ways.
Yes.
So I have so many strings here. What do I do when they start to go out of tune? Where do I tune the instrument?
Yes. There are tuning pins around here, and it's here. This is key. It's actually clock key. So it's not.
And also you seem to have 2 little keys here on the fingerboard. What do
Yes.
they do?
If you push this key, it will be B. So it's a semitone device. And this one has a special device here. This is a F string, and if I pull this one, yes, so you can make F sharp without turning the tuning.
Without tuning. So you can actually change the pitch while you're playing a tune.
There's a photo album from Erddig that's still here in the house that shows the Harp-Lute in the Chinese room, posed beautifully on a little stool next to the fireplace, as if being shown off as a curiosity amongst all of the exotic objects in that room. We really wanted to record this instrument in particular for a couple of reasons. One of them is because it helps us to understand how important women were to this house. They helped to shape the sound of the house and its contents. They bring things to the house, and their presence is important for the soundscape.
So we recognise that sometimes these houses, they have the visuals, but they don't have the sound and the smells of times past. And so something that the Trust, and particularly us here at Erddig, want to investigate is bringing those sounds back to life, so you really get more of the atmosphere here. And the musical instruments are going to be a really evocative part of that.
This instrument is in the room, silent, when visitors come to the house as tourists, and people are often very curious about it. They've never seen anything like it before. It's a very unusual instrument. No visitor, or very few visitors, will have ever played something like this, and it's really hard to imagine how it sounds. So it's important to be able to say, well, do you want to know more about this instrument? Here, listen.